I ask you to come into our midst, be with us, help us to make wise decisions for the community. And for all that you do, we'll give your name the honor and the glory. In Jesus' name we ask it. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll, please.
Here.
Mrs. Champion? Here. Mr. Frazier?
Here.
Mrs. Leonardi? Here. Mrs. Smith?
Here. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as prepared?
Second.
On the bill, are there any questions or comments regarding the agenda? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Champion? Yes. Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Edelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Leonardi? Yes. Mrs. Smith?
Yes. Is there a motion to accept the minutes of the regular meeting of September 24th of 2019 as submitted and placed on file? Tammy?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Bill, are there any questions or comments regarding that? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Mrs. Champion? Yes. Mr. Edelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Leonardi? Yes.
Is there a motion to award the contract for the fire department renovation project to CBF Contracting Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $232,200?
I'll make that motion.
Heather? Is there a second?
Second.
Bill Ball? Or Bill? Any comments or questions?
These were our low bidders.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Larry for getting the metal roofing. That was a big deduction. The non-fireproof was it plywood and also the trusses. That was a big deduction on that. Thank you.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Edelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Leonardi? Yes. Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Mrs. Champion? Yes. Mrs. Smith?
Yes. Public participation pertaining to agenda items. If not, we'll move on to the operational reports. Is there a motion to accept the operational reports of the building inspector, finance, fire, human resource risk management, trade, police, water, wastewater for the month of September 2019 and submitted and placed on file?
I'll like that.
Bill?
I'll second that.
Dawn? Are there any comments or questions?
The reports were nice, really. Our people in the city do a good job when they report what they need to report.
Yes, we thank them. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Edelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Leonardi? Yes. Mrs. Champion?
Yes. Employee recognition.
Several months ago, when we appointed Dustin McGowan as a police chief, he asked me if he could attend a training session in Hershey. And I told him that would be great. This was some pretty intense training, and I just want to publicly recognize Dustin for his efforts in this. He went all the way, drove all the way to Hershey. He spent 3 weeks out there, come home only on the weekends. He said the class was very intense. It was all on leadership, and it was actually at the Pennsylvania State Police Academy in Hershey. So something that's never been done before, to my knowledge, in Titusville, this much intense training. And Dustin stepped up to the plate, wanted to do it, offered to do it. I just want to publicly thank him, and I'm sure if you see him somewhere, he'll tell you it was well worth it. Him and I have had conversations, and he got a lot out of it. Right, Dustin?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
We really have outstanding employees in this town, and we thank you, Dustin. Do you have anything you would like to say, Dustin?
I would just say that it was, to sum it up, it was 3 weeks of training. It all dealt with leadership, as Larry mentioned. Individual, group, and department-wide. And one of the biggest aspects that they talked about was planning for the future. So not only for our department, looking at bigger goals that we should try to accomplish, but also for individual officers, that we should be trying to direct them in areas that they would want to go and helping them make advancements in their career. So the training paid dividends in the near future. In fact, we just had a department meeting right before this meeting now. We discussed different things that we're going to try to change and some improvements to be made. But in the long run, the dividends, I believe, will pay off dramatically because, again, we're looking to the future. We're looking to plan to make our department better so that we can offer better services to our city. So I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to go, and I think we'll all be rewarded because of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see a retired police officer in here. It certainly is nice to see him. Mr. Lemley, welcome. Let's move on to the minutes and boards and committees. Is there a motion to accept and place on file the minutes of the Housing Authority of 9/17? Heather?
I'll second it.
Okay, Tammy? Any questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Champion?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Leonardi? Yes. Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Edelman?
Yes.
Is there a motion to ratify the bill listing warrants dated 9/27, 10/4, 10/11, and 10/18? And to the folks that don't regularly come, those are sent to us through the email. We have the opportunity to look them over. And if we have questions, we can throw them out or ask questions here. Larry does an outstanding job with that, and so does Diana. Are there any? Okay, Bill?
I'll second.
Anna? Any comments or questions? Bill?
I do. I guess going through them, I see that traditionally we're paying a $15,000 a month loan repayment. Just had a little conversation with Larry. That is due to be totally retired by the middle of next year. And at this point, that's a savings of roughly $30,000 to get that retired. 130. Okay, I missed the one. It's even better than I thought. So I think that's a step in the right direction fiscally.
That is the very last loan the city has in any line item.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Edelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Champion?
Yes.
Mrs. Leonardi?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adopt Council Bill number 7 of 2019 on second reading, the zoning map change of the first reading?
I'll make that motion.
Heather? Bill? Comments? Call the roll. Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
This is actually the second.
Oh, this is the second. I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Council Bill number 7 of 2019, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Titusville, Crawford County, Pennsylvania, to amend the zoning code of the City of Titusville by amending section 1305.01 zoning map to adopt a revised zoning map in the form attached hereto. And this is of course, the ordinance to change the zoning where the pit properties are given to the city.
Comments or questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Leonardi?
Yes.
Mr. Edelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Champion?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adopt resolution number 20 of 2019, the CDBG?
Motion to adopt, Mayor.
I'll second.
Resolution number 20 of 2019. A resolution of the City of Titusville authorizing and approving the application for funds with the Department of Community and Economic Development, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And this is the approval for the 2019 community block grant for $298,504.
And this is the first reading?
It only has, this resolution only requires one reading.
Are there any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Champion?
Yes.
Mr. Edelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Mrs. Leonardi? Yes.
Is there a motion to adopt resolution number 21 of 2019, the CDBG modification?
Motion to adopt, Mayor.
I'll second.
Bill, are there any questions or comments?
That's the right thing to do.
Let him move that.
Yes.
This is for the money to go to the firehouse, right?
Yes. Resolution number 21 of 2019. A resolution of the City of Titusville authorizing and approving the modification of its fiscal year 2018 Community Development Block Grant funds with the Department of Community and Economic Development, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Questions or comments? Any more? Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Edelman?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Mrs. Champion?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Leonardi? Yes.
May I ask a related question?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Van Ross, when do we think that they might start, since we're going to award this bid to that company?
As soon as it's awarded, they will order the trusses. And even though the trusses are, you know, depending on how long that takes, but they will start probably in a week doing some of the interior stuff that they can take apart without opening up the roof. Once the trusses arrive, they will proceed with opening the roof and putting the new roof on.
So we should see activity in a few weeks, I suppose?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, public participation. Okay, comments by council? Diana, will you play that for me, please? And then there'll be a time when it'll be played again.
Should have brought popcorn this time. Oh, I did have one thing. May I interject something quickly?
Okay, quickly.
To the public? At the last meeting, we had a woman here, Ms. McCann, that was asking me to maybe look into another company in ADM welding. And I did call and I talked to their engineer. And unfortunately, their max span is 100 feet. We're at 124, and I asked whether he could push that, and he says probably not unless we embed a trestle in the middle, and that's gonna open up more cans of worms of DEP and things like that. So I would like to get with Mr. Van Ross and we can discuss a few things further if there's anything that fits, but we did contact him. And I just don't know that it's a fit right now.
Thank you.
Do you have any idea what you're doing? We're just trying to get to the truth. I get it. But what you need to remember is that it's what people want to hear, it's what people want to believe, because everything else, then there's the truth.
Since when is that okay? I can't even believe you're saying this to me. The truth means responsibility, Arnie.
Exactly, which is why everyone drinks.
Diana, are you able to play that louder? No? Okay, well, we're gonna play that afterwards too.
That's weird. It's crazy.
Jim, I'd appreciate it if you'd please be quiet so everybody can hear. Thank you. All right, as you know, that I am doing an introduction to a 5-part series, and I will be doing the first part tonight. Many of the women here tonight, including myself, have had small children who at one time or another came running up to us, holding out their precious little hand or putting down to their knee, showing us an open gash or cut that needed medical attention. Along with the reassurance and kisses giving, their wound needed to be treated. When cleaning a wound, usually soap and a soft washcloth is used to clean the skin around it, and it may be necessary to remove dirt, glass, gravel, or other even necessary for the wound to heal properly. Also, there are wounds in the form of cancerous sores that must be treated over a span of time in order to kill the resistant germs. If the wound is neglected, bacteria can cause dangerous infections, which could lead to sickness and possibly death. Often the treatment isn't received well by the person who is hurt. How many times has a little one cried and resisted the ointment and antiseptic application? The treatment may hurt, but we all know that it is necessary, and without it, the outcome could be devastating. Right now, you may be thinking, what does this have to do with City Council in this meeting?
Amen.
I could have been doing one of 100 other things with my evening tonight than to come here and receive a lesson on how to clean wounds. As we continue, you will see that it is relevant. Tonight, I am presenting to you an introduction along with the first of a 5-part series. We will be looking at the wounds that have been inflicted on the citizens and taxpayers of Titusville and how this council, former councils, and administrations have addressed them. It takes strong people to work in a wound clinic. One has to be able to stand the unpleasantness of cleaning and treating them. Sometimes the smell can be nauseating. As in the wound clinic, the same goes for the issues that a city council has to deal with. The stench of illegal, unethical, and non-compliance issues has been nauseating. The wound has been let go for way too long. My 12 years of serving on city council is ending in a little over 2 months. I was voted in to make a difference and for the betterment of the people and to address issues. Many people asked me to figure out what those problems were. In order to make positive changes, one needs to determine the details that surround the issues that are happening. In order to fully understand the scope of the problems, or in using our analogy, how bad are the wounds? Do they just need minor treatment, or are they more serious? Yes, folks, part of my responsibility has been to address wounds within our city. Some wounds were mere scratches, while others were deep gashes that needed more serious attention. Some were even sores that have existed for a long time and have developed a foul odor. All needed some form of attention and treatment to which we, as your leaders, have carefully administered. For some time, I have been anticipating what my final thoughts as your public servant would be. My plans were to give a brief summary of what we have accomplished for you. However, because of very disturbing evidence that have taken place since September of 2017, and because this administration has always stood for transparency, I feel it is of great importance to reveal to you what has transpired since this council has served and Larry Manross has been our city manager. I want to share with you the wounds that we have addressed and treated. Prior to September 2017 and the issues that we had with leisure service, the citizens of Titusville and the surrounding communities seldom heard a negative thing about the city. I need for you to reflect on that thought for just a minute and let that sink in. There were very few complaints about city council, the city manager, how he was handling the finances and running the city, or myself, and how I led this administrative body. In fact, we were praised for the wonderful and positive things that were being accomplished in the city. Here is an example of one of the emails that we received on occasions. Debbie, would you kindly help me? I hate to put you in there, but would you please hand one out to each individual and bring them back to me? This is from July 20th of 2017 to Esther and Larry from Larry Weldon. Just wanted to let you know that there are less complainers than perhaps you realize. Or should I put it this way? Actually, there are more people satisfied with what good things are going on in the city these days than you realize. But the problems seem to be, as always, people who are satisfied don't speak up, or at least not as loudly as those unhappy. The city council is not responsible for the economics of the community. Given the circumstances we are faced, I think we're getting good services and utilities these days from our city services. Overall, the community seems amazed by all the improved paving going on. For a few weeks, it feels like the 50s and 60s again when things were good. You guys are in a tough seat in the community, and as such, you'll never get ample recognition for your efforts and accomplishments. Just end the day feeling like you did your best and think we all benefit. Ignore the naysayers and keep company with like people who take action and don't just talk. Enjoy the little successes as much as possible and deflect the negative. For the past 2 years at City Hall, it seems we have had to use home health care remedies. In other words, almost daily, the city manager, and if need be, city council, were treating the wounds inflicted by a small group of people, and it was affecting the community. The hardest wound to heal is corruption, and it runs deep. This wound needs major medical care and must be addressed thoroughly. When Larry Manross was hired, and we as council expected him to run the city of Titusville carefully, managing the taxpayers' money. He brought issues to council that he felt needed attention. As we all know, one of the most important tasks to be accomplished was that of paying off a long-term outstanding debt. That task has almost been accomplished. By May of next year, we will be out of debt. There were many other changes that needed to be made in order to make government more affordable for you folks. There were many wounds that had been inflicted on our city that need to be treated. We reviewed agreements, bylaws, contracts, etc. of every department and organization under the umbrella of the city. Larry made many recommendations to council on how to better streamline government for the benefit of the people. And I would like you to know, tonight, Larry Manross has no idea what I'm presenting here. So when did the negativity and contention begin? It all began when we, the administration, began to look into the non-compliance of the airport authority and followed up on complaints by concerned citizens that were brought to our attention regarding the way things were being handled by certain board members and folks affiliated with the airport authority. After September 2017, the vicious attacks started against council and city management, and the propaganda started circulating. Even though there was evidence of competent management, seeds of doubt as to the ability of the city manager, city council, and me to run our city were being planted in the public's mind by this handful of people. It is important to know who these people are, because the damage and destruction they are causing by inflicting their deadly wounds on the people of this town, the members of city council included, must be brought to light if the battle for truth is to be won. These are the handful that were influencing the public and inflicting the wounds to destroy our town, and I will make note of those later on. There was one individual by the name of Mr. Roger Gordon who began to associate with these members of the Airport Authority Board and became the primary voice of contention, accusation, and negativity regarding city council and how they dealt with the airport authority. He and the people named, and I will name them in a minute, began to lay blame for every negative aspect of the town of Titusville into the lap of city council. Suddenly, every situation that was a concern, whether in the city's jurisdiction or not, became the mayor's fault, the city manager's fault, or both. Many of you remember the following list of issues that were debunked in a flyer that went out as a mailer along with an article in the Titusville Herald. This list is part of the seeds of doubt that were spread throughout the city. Moving Titusville forward, whose memberships included some of the people that I'm going to name, we provided the evidence against these false allegations. There are a few additions, and these will be reviewed in more detail in the upcoming meetings. Number one, we were accused of gouging the citizens with overinflated water, sewer, refuse bills. Larry and Diana, I would ask you to bring to our next meeting a printout of the last time the city had rate increases for all the city services. We were told that we dissolved the municipal authority which regulates the cost of water and sewer rates. That is a falsehood. They didn't regulate the cost of water and sewer, and we're going to explain in our next meetings what took place there. City Council dissolved the recreational authority. We will show solid evidence in the form of the Titusville Area School Board minutes and Titusville City Council minutes showing a joint dissolution, along with serious problems incurring for many, many years. We discovered that pornography was being viewed during work hours, which can be proven by tracking the site log and hours on the computer. These are type of the wounds that had to be addressed, and many, many others. What someone does in their own home is their business. We discovered that several hours a day were being used to engage in this behavior. One gentleman that was on that board, Mr. Joe Anderson, can vouch for this. We were told that we dissolved the citizen-based airport authority, which created their own revenue operation. Now the city will be spending up to $50,000 a year for the airport. Note, we did and will provide solid evidence of wrongdoing. Solid evidence of wrongdoing. We will show the actual discharge. I would ask you to please be quiet. Thank you.
It's a free country.
I will show the actual discharge pipe attached to the holding tank leading into an illegal sewage system adamantly denied by the airport authority members, Mr. Larry Weldon and others. We were also we were also accused falsely, and it was in the paper. We stood for you folks. Thank you. Debbie, would you mind coming here, please? I'm sorry, I have to use you. You're in the front. Would you please hand these out? We were also accused. Same, I think there should be the same amount, and if there isn't, hopefully someone can share them. We were also accused of running the farmers market out of town. That is a false statement. Note, we will show solid evidence of this being a false statement, and if they are referring to the open air market, to the Titusville Renaissance open air market, please read the attached. That is another lie. We were accused of abandoning the Perry Street Bridge. No, we will show solid evidence of that. That wasn't our bridge to give away. We will be discussing that in our further meetings. We were told that we robbed the water sewer funds of over $4 million without documentation. We will show evidence of that also. We were accused of illegally transferring money from the water sewer refuse fund to the general fund. We will show that's a false statement also. I'm going to ask our city solicitor. Richard, you're our city solicitor. Did we do anything illegal? We did fight for the Burgess Park swimming pool and demolished it. No, we will show solid evidence of a falsehood also. We eliminated street leaf pickup. We will show evidence that that was before our city manager's tenure. Larry Manros had nothing to do with that. The pension fund obligation is $3.8 million underfunded. No, we will show solid evidence of that, of why there is a pension issue. Larry and Diana, I would like you to bring to the next city council meeting a copy of the police contract during the former manager Carolyn Ford tenure as to what was given to the employees upon retirement and how it relates to the affected pensions. Also, make a copy of the contract when Mary Ann Nogg got the verbiage out. We will be discussing that later. We cut the fire department maintenance budget, which now places our community and firemen in critical danger. Absolutely falsehood. It's an absolute falsehood. That department has grown as all the departments are grown. I would encourage everyone, fact check. Go to the sources, go to our departments, talk to the department heads to see if we've cut them. We cut the fire department maintenance budget. One ludicrous claim made by this group is that I handpicked the candidates so that, if elected, I could be the only vote to swing my placement to become city manager. That is the most false statement. But you know, folks, all it takes is to plant one seed of doubt in a person's mind, and they got you. Most people don't check the facts. In order for Titusville to grow and flourish, we must need to understand what has happened in the past. In order for healing to take place, we need to clean and treat the room, clean out the debris of non-compliance, illegal, unethical matters that have taken place, so as not to make the same mistakes. And yes, sometimes we have to apply the major medical treatment to kill corruption. That, folks, is what you have and had with this administration. We have and will continue to lead with courage, make sound and wise decisions in order to change the misdirection of the past, and when necessary, clean and treat the wounds. In July of this year, 2019, I started my Mayor of Titusville Facebook page to promote truth and address the blatant lies and the fake news that was being circulated in the city for approximately 2 years about this council and our management. I have encouraged everyone to always fact check every time they hear allegations or read statements that is in actuality are propaganda. On my page, I've laid out solid evidence so everyone can fully understand what was happening as we, your leaders, address the issues or wrongdoings in the city. I would encourage all of you to go to that page. Go to my page if you have not already and review the information presented. It is thorough, and I welcome any honest, respectful questions through Facebook Messenger. To you, citizens of Titusville, I'm asking for you to attend the last 4 council meetings of the year. What you learn and hopefully take away from these meetings are: number 1, never believe what you read or hear without doing a thorough fact check process. Sorry. It really is quite a simple process. When a person makes a statement, read who is credible to believe. Here is an example of what I mean by fact-checking. Very recently, Mr. Roger Gordon posted the following on social media. Notice the highlighted bold statement that may not have shown up on that. When the queen of the swamp calls for the draining of the swamp, you know she's hiding something. Once again, Mayor Smith, the pathological liar, continues to spew her smarmy lies in an attempt to destroy anyone who disagrees with her. I have never served as a board member on the NWRP and DC. Neither have I ever claimed to. I can't wait until we can rid this city of corrupt leaders and shady characters who run City Hall. Now, Mr. Gordon has accused me of not only lying, but of being a pathological liar. He calls me and the other city councils shady characters who run City Hall. Why has he gone on this particular tirade of bitter accusation against the mayor and city council? Here is an answer. Earlier last week, it was revealed in an article in the Meadville Tribune, also in the Herald, that Mr. Gordon defaulted on a loan that he had secured with the Northwestern Pennsylvania Regional Planning and Development Commission. I had made a comment on social media that there was an article posted that was interesting, and that he served on that very board. The NPR, the Northwestern Pennsylvania Rural Planning and Development Commission, that he borrowed the money from. Was I just making it up? Is there a way to research and fact check this statement? Sometimes it's one word against another. Then a person who hears both sides simply makes a choice who to believe. Fortunately, in this case, there are two pieces of evidence. The first one is an excerpt from an open letter to the public from Mr. Gordon, dated February 15th of this year, where Mr. Gordon communicated to the public his accomplishments in the various organizations and board he had served on. The second is an application that he filled out when he applied for the Redevelopment Authority. February 15th of 2019, he said, "Dear friends of the community, I have served as mayor, city council member, secretary treasurer to the original emergency management agency, and so on, so forth. In these capacities, I also served on the boards of the Northwestern PA Regional Planning and Development Commission." He sent that to me and city council and to the dear friends of the Titusville community. As mentioned, it is a simple method to find out whether one is truthful or one is lying when there is evidence available. And it's up to you to decide that. With all of that said, I want to start at the beginning when all the false propaganda began to circulate. On September 1st of 2017, Mr. Gordon, who was a member of the Titusville Redevelopment Authority, sent me a letter expressing in great detail his concerns about TRA, to the point of his ultimate resignation from the authority board. I am going to read some of this, and I'm going to be addressing this later in our other meetings. The reason that this is significant is that 10 months later, on July 4th of 2018, this same man sent me another letter, which was an open letter put out on social media, a Facebook site called You Might Be from Titusville, administered by Ken Hartley, a former Airport Authority board member. It was also sent to the citizens of the Titusville. It was also sent to the citizens of Titusville, the Titusville Airport Authority, and the Redevelopment Authority. In this letter, he not only praises the TRA for being an upstanding organization for the city for over 60 years, but accuses me of attempting to dismantle the city. Notice the comparison between the two letters. Here are a few excerpts from the first letter in September 2017. At the July 17th regular meeting of the Titusville City Council, you appointed me to a 5-member board of the Redevelopment Authority for a 5-year term. It was apparent to me prior to this appointment that certain members of the TRA board and staff were strongly opposed to any appointment other than that of the incumbent for undisclosed reasons to me. It was obvious that some collusion, perhaps through an executive board meeting, had occurred prior to August 14th meeting for various reasons. At this meeting, I was not welcomed on the board nor acknowledged in any way. On August 18th, I emailed the deputy director asking her to give me a better understanding of the whole structure of the organization, who makes up the membership of each individual corporation within TRA. It was obvious from this correspondence with the deputy director that I was being treated with a royal runaround, even though I was asking questions that anyone has a right to know under the law. It was in this response that I first had red flags concerning the entire organization. Mayor Smith, it is in my opinion that it is urgently incumbent upon the city administration and city council to immediately commence with an independent investigation into the Titusville Redevelopment Authority. I believe the chief of police of the city of Titusville should be briefed on my concerns that the tools available to the city through the offices of the Pennsylvania Attorney General and the Pennsylvania Auditor General should be employed. Creating a shadowy organization is one of the oldest corruption tricks in the corporate world. Unfortunately, it appears that the Titusville Redevelopment Authority has either complicitly followed this course of action or has been duped through ignorance into it. Either way, this board and staff, in my opinion, has acted erroneously in creating these separate corporations as they only serve to obscure the flow of monies throughout the redevelopment authority. While I believe it is apparent that funds are being hidden, along with other normally public information, I can't ascertain why, as there has to be reasons for it all. I cannot be a spy on the board, and I cannot fill the role of an independent agent. This defies the purpose of participating on the board. I was appointed to the Redevelopment Authority to be an asset to an already talented group of local leaders to help lead this community forward and improve the quality of life for all the citizens. Unfortunately, I feel more like I was the winner of a free ticket to the Titanic. Therefore, on advisement, I want you to know before anyone that I will be submitting my resignation to the TRA board. I will be reading also some excerpts from the July 4th, 2018. But I will be explaining in the next few meetings what concerns we had and how they were addressed, they were fixed. And I will be showing Mr. Gordon's inconsistencies in our next meeting. Dear Mayor Smith, July 4th of 2018, that was put out on social media, and that was, there's over 8,000 people that had the possibility of viewing this particular letter. Dear Mayor Smith, I write today to provide some unsolicited thoughts and advice. I have spent the last year sorting through facts. I have in the process drawn conclusions irregardless of the facts and abandoned those conclusions to come to new conclusions as I will discuss later. I want to read that one sentence to you. Let this sink in. I have spent the last year sorting through facts. Remember, folks, facts never change. Facts are always the facts. You can draw your own conclusions, but facts never change. I have spent the last year sorting through facts. I have in the process drawn conclusions irregardless of the facts and abandoned those conclusions only to come to new conclusions. That tells you the facts were thrown out. Conclusions were drawn. Throw out the conclusions to draw new conclusions. I could enumerate, Esther, you have accomplished much for the city of Titusville. I could enumerate many. However, to just name a few, the streets of Titusville are better than they've ever been in years. Than they have been in years, I'm sorry. The sewage treatment plant, once a liability to the city, is now one of our best assets. Public works improvements throughout the city are both evident and not so evident. And last but not least, the city is operating in the black and without major debts. You have stated to me on numerous occasions that most departments in the city of Titusville are or have been corrupt. You have named these departments and divisions of the city, the fire department, the police department, the Municipal Authority, the Leisure Service, Titusville Renaissance, Titusville Farmers Market, Titusville Airport Authority, the Redevelopment Authority, specifically, and others with a generic reference. As you know, I have listened intently to your concerns and accusations. In all of our discussions and any public forum as reported in the local news, I have never heard or seen any evidence of corruption except in the case of the Leisure Service Director's theft. Other than that, at worst, there may have been poor judgment in some cases, but nothing yet has been presented that would rise to the level of crime or corruption. My conclusion is this: the TRA has served this community with honor for 60 years, with board members from the highest caliber from our surrounding communities since its inception. The current board members and staff were attacked by being corrupt without a shred of evidence being presented. I would implore you to seriously consider the replacement of the one person on TRA. If there is a problem with TRA, truth will always come to the top. If there are not facts supporting the dismantling of TRA and the Airport Authority, duty demands that you vindicate everyone that you have thus far accused. When you circumvent the intended, powerful role as mayor, you to attempt well-meaning, capable volunteers to various roles in city government by appointing whomever you believe will carry your water for your end game, you have violated your public trust and exposed good people to be used, misused, and abused. It's time for yours and city council's systematic dismantling of the city of Titusville to come to an end. Your role of mayor is a much narrower role by statute than you are operating. With kindness and sincere regards, Roger Gordon. In our upcoming meetings, I'm going to show you what Mr. Gordon said my role was. That will be a discussion later. Folks, this is just the tip of the iceberg regarding the flip-flop of support and allegations that he's expressed. He has unified himself with the members of the disgruntled Airport Authority and a few others, and in doing so, has adopted a stance of lies, false accusation, and name-calling. He even communicated with me at my salon and called me the town whore. No public servant should ever have to go through or be subject to the things that we have. Debbie, would you please come here?
This is awful. Awful.
Or just leave.
It's awful. I don't have to leave. It's a public meeting.
Regarding this statement, I will be passing out to you what a member of a handful of people mentioned above has posted on Facebook on various sites. This is none other than adult bullying at its worst. Again, no person or persons, let alone a public servant, should ever be subjected to this kind of abuse. In this particular one, I would like you to take a look at. On the top, you will see where these are emails that was sent and copied to, and notice the people that it was copied to. This was sent to Mr. Don Frazier. And he said, you have to remember, he's an engineer. He won't answer you. He is still a little wimp, like he was growing up on the south side. The article in the Herald about the ladder truck shows how stupid Man Ross is. He just keeps proving it to the people every day. He is also a crook, and that will be soon coming to light. The next one, the second page, you will know. I know you are smarter to Dawn. Your job is not to give Man Ross and Smith an open checkbook, but how to serve and spend the money wisely. But to serve the residents and spend the money wisely. It's time to stop Man Ross and Smith from destroying our community. Nothing wrong with Farmers Market except competed a day or two with Carr's store, and dislike for Carver. The airport has done well without Man Ross. Items, equipment purchased with FAA, so on and so forth. Please read them. The next page. Innocent people were stuck in the crossfire, in the crosshairs. Mr. Gordon put out, isn't it interesting that Commissioner Wiederspan, County GOP Chair Jody Leach, Pathonetary MER-Net are willing to openly support candidates who have lost in the primary or who have past and pending criminal cases. I wonder if it has anything to do with marital relationships and connections with the local funeral home. Debbie, please. When you're done with that,
This is
I'll
all
take
political.
this, please.
It's not what these meetings are for.
Please look these over. The second one, you will see how Mr. Elliott. on
Excuse
this
me, Mayor,
site-
this meeting is not
on Mr.
political.
Elliott's site.
This is not for you to give your
You're out
political
of order.
agenda.
You're out of order. Chief,
I
can you
object
help?
to this.
You're out of
This is
order.
not a
They
political
treated me
meeting.
well. This isn't political.
You're-
You're showing
this is
what has
all
taken place
political.
with your public
You're not,
service.
this is against the ethic code
Take
of
a
the
deep
third-class city.
breath, Tammy. The fix is
The
in.
rules are you
The
can't make it political.
vacancy is mine. You promised. Don't give it.
She's a
Don't
dictator.
make me use a different hairdresser. Please make note of what has been handed down.
It's against the
Now,
ethics code.
we had emails sent to us. This started when we dealt with the airport authority. Folks, I'm gonna say some things that are horrible words. We received anonymous emails from a person called Connie Lingus. I didn't know what that meant. I had people tell me, Esther, that is a sexual act, meaning Connie Lingus. I didn't know that. But notice on the second page who it was sent from and who it was sent to. It was sent to Jim Coon, Mr. Hartley, Esther Smith, Mr. Podensky, Denny Payton, Roger Gordon. The subject matter, please note on that, how the Titusville mayor gets her way. Mr. Elliott took a picture of me blowing a bubble.
You're getting your way
You know
now.
what that means? How the mayor gets her way.
You're getting it now.
That's saying, I give blowjobs. This should anger every citizen of Titusville. Move on to the next one.
I'm not even running. Roger Gordon is.
I want you to move on to them. Here's one here. They made a Facebook page of Titusville, PA Mayor, M-A-R-E. Down here, the only place Essie's been that is close to the judge is under her robe. When does the abuse stop, folks? I'm tired.
You should resign then.
They give a look. Notice this one. Larry Manross farted again. Debbie? I'm sorry. When the July 4th of last year's letter went out and it hit social media, all right, I would like to read some of these. I distrust those people who know so well what God wants them to do, because I notice it always coincides with their own desires. One person said perfect. The other person says, it fits her like spandex. Oh, and the emoji is O-S-H-I-T. Now trying to get rid of that mental image. Yuck, no, my glass of wine tastes horribly bad. Folks, when public servants have to go through that, you're gonna lose good public servants.
Not very good at doing the ethics code.
I watched a video. Jim, you're out of order.
I have the right to my freedom of
Chief, I'm some understanding of those who are taking up the cause of city council. City council and their paid administration have no problem with breaking the law and associating closely with those known criminals that have been charged, convicted, and found guilty in a court system. Their most recent avenue of a personal attack on me is hiring of PIN News. PIN News is the gentleman back there. I never laid eyes on Mr. Scott Knowles. I never knew Nancy. I never knew Nancy prior to them coming up here and start filming this. We were falsely accused. What's sad is these people get caught and then they're criticized. They're run down publicly on social media. When do we stop this? I recently watched a video of a judge over in Ohio. His job was to hand down the verdict, the sentencing. He said before he handed it down, he had a bunch of papers in his hands, letters. He started to read those letters. He said, I want you folks to know something. My wife received these letters in the mail. She read these letters, and he started reading them. They were anonymous, and some people signed their name. As he read them, the things that was said to this person, he said, in the end, no public servant should ever have to go through this. We had a job to do. We did it. I will not apologize for doing what is right. Now, I'm going to tell you my personal belief. I personally believe that one day when I exit this world, I'm going to stand before our Maker. I do not want to stand alone in front of him and have him say, Esther, you falsely accused those people at the airport, or you falsely accused anybody, because I will not stand before him and have him say that to us. We had a job to do. I have 4 more meetings. I'm tired. I'm tired. I ask you, does truth matter? Diana, would you kindly play that clip again? Always pursue truth, folks. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Please come next month as we will unwrap more valid proof regarding what City Council has had to endure these last 2 years and why this wound is continuing to fester in our town. Please support truth and be part of teams, whatever you're involved in, trying to figure out the best to treat the wounds and trying out best to treat the wounds and bring healing to our dear town of Titusville. Please play that again.
Do you have any idea that you're going to start?
We're just trying to get to the truth.
I get it. But what you need to remember is that it's what people want to hear, it's what people want to believe, because everything else, then there's the truth.
I said, when is that okay? I can't even believe you're saying this to me. The truth means responsibility, Arnie.
Exactly, which is why everyone's rich.
continue to lay out what has transpired. These aren't, I'm not trying to hurt any of them. A lot of harm has been done. I want to be able to say that people, these folks are forgiven. I hold no animosity. But we can change it, we need to change it. All of us. I want to thank you all for coming. Is there a motion to adjourn? Into a budget session. I'll make that motion. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Edelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Leonardi?
Yes.
Mrs. Champion? Yes. Mrs. Smith?
Yes. Folks, we're going into a budget session. I would encourage you to even stick around for that. You need to be part of the budget. You need to know when you hear things. You need to be able to say, I know, I looked, I searched for truth, I fact checked, I know what's right, what's wrong. So I would encourage you to stay.
Okay, you all got the budget booklet, I handed out last month. And I'd like to actually start out by reading the budget message, which is
I have some circus pants for the circus.
towards the latter part of the tab. A lot of good information in this budget message. I'd like the public to hear it. So I'll read it aloud. Since revenues, not expenses, are the real drivers of the budget, focusing on understanding where the money is coming from is extremely critical to the budget process. Starting off with a clear understanding of how much revenue is available to spend for the upcoming budget year helps us set realistic expectations. We believe the attached 2020 proposed budget we have put together uses reasonable revenue assumptions and is realistic, proactive, transparent, and solid. The 2020 balanced budget invests conservatively in limited areas of the city without an increase in taxes or city service fees. I'm sure everybody would like to hear that. No tax raise and no increase in service fees. Tab highlights. When we get to going through the book here, tab 3. It states 11 parcels have been added to the tax rolls since 2018. This equates to an additional $14,500 in tax revenue. Although this number may not seem significant, this is the first time in years that taxable property values increased while exempt status property decreased. That hasn't happened in a long, long time. That being said, 51% of the city's total assessment is exempt, leaving the other 49% to foot the bill for 100% of the services. Now, there's been a lot of talk. I'm just going to add this. This isn't in the message. There's been a lot of talk about transfers and transferring money from this to that. The fact of the matter is, 49% is all. They're paying all the bills for Titusville. They're paying for all the service. They're paying for everything. If you own property, you're paying the bill. 51% aren't paid. If you didn't pay for your services out of water money, sewer money, whatever those services are performed at, you would get a tax increase of 10 mils to cover that. We're not even legally allowed to raise taxes 10 mils. This would be an increase to all of these 49% people who have a stake in this community. It would raise their taxes 25, 30%. It's insane. It's totally insane. Why would the people who are supporting the community want to give free water and sewer and other services to the people who aren't supporting the community? Makes no sense to me at all.
And these are people doing the work out of these departments. So to pay for somebody that's working on water lines out of the general fund is foolish. You pay for it out of the water fund. If they're working out of the sewer, you pay it out of the sewer fund.
One of the first things that I attended when I took this job in 2011 was a class on government budget. And it was an in-depth class. I spent the whole day there, and one of the conversations was how to allocate water and sewer funds. We've absolutely done everything that legally and upfront and exactly how it's supposed to be done. It's been looked at, it's audited every single year, never a finding. To go on. The debt statement as of 10/3/2019 illustrates the only existing debt for the city. a 2003 Penvest Phase 2 1% stormwater loan. This loan is budgeted to be paid off by mid-2020. Paying the loan off 12 years early will save the city over $134,000 in interest and allow the sewer fund to rebuild a reserve to be able to fund the next large project without the need for borrowing any more money. We worked hard to get out of debt. Why in the world would we want to borrow more money? It makes no sense to me at all. Tab 4, health insurance premiums. Health insurance premiums include a decrease of 4.7%, saving nearly $30,000 across the general water and sewer funds. We have had 13% increases for the last 2 years in our health premiums. To get a decrease is amazing in today's world. Health rates are going up. But by changing companies and going into a company that the claims are what dictate what you pay. And that's finally paying off for us. Contracted employee salary and fringe benefit increases include fire got a 2% raise, police a 3% raise, and public works a 2.5% raise. These raises are all contracted. They're 5-year contracts, all of them at this point. And these raises are annual raises for the next 5 years. Tabs 5 through 10 highlight the city's 7 funds detailing past and anticipated staffing projects and 2018 to 2020 budget analysis. With the continued support and leadership of City Council, we intend to keep the momentum we started 8 years ago. This administration will continue to strive toward complete transparency. If you have a question, please ask for the facts directly from City Hall so we may assume you are receiving correct information. It is our intent to keep the City of Titusville well managed while maintaining confidence and satisfaction with our residents. We appreciate the continued pride and effort of all our city employees and what they do on a daily basis to help make this community a great place to live and visit. In accordance with the third-class city code optional charter law, the proposed budget for all funds showing these estimated receipts and expenditures of every kind and all other information of value as a basis for fixing the levy and tax rate for the next fiscal year is presented. One other comment that I'd like to make. We've had a huge turnaround in people, and it's not because people have been terminated. We have a lot of older people working in the city, and they have retired, and we just had a huge turnaround. And in Public Works is a good instance. In Public Works, there's, and I don't know if I brought that. I think there's 19 people, and I have personally hired since I came here 8 years ago, 15 of those people. It's a whole different crew. And I will tell you this, when I started getting involved with Public Works, we were getting about 3 hours a day of work out of our people. Today we get an 8-hour shift. I would challenge anyone to go out and say that our Public Works people are standing around, because they're not. They have done humongous projects, saving hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're all very dedicated. We have real dedicated employees. Police are dedicated, fire dedicated, they're all dedicated employees. We have never had it so good in this city. From Diana, she's an excellent employee, probably the best employee we have in the entire city. And some of these people are threatening to do away with this, these staff members. It's ludicrous. If they're elected, why in the world would you get rid of people who are making things work? I'll get off my soapbox. Moving on to look through the book. If we go to tab 2, there's a couple of things in here. Mostly I wanted to call attention to. Excuse me, tab 3. This is my favorite section. Every year I always comment on this. It's the dollar bill. It's the breakdown of how much we spend on different services. And in here is also, it shows from 2003 all the way through 2018. You can readily see like debt service, insurance, pension administration, those type of items. In 2003, 6 cents of every dollar was spent on this. Today, 2018, 1 penny. 1 penny is spent. Community programs, recreation, shade tree library. In 2003, 7 cents. Today, 5 cents. These are direct things that save the city money. And now here's one here, general government, council managed, risk management, finance, legal, IT, everything has to go up when you talk about wages. In 2003, it was 14 cents. Today, which is what, 16 years later, we're at 21 cents. Not that bad. On the dollar. Yeah, on the dollar, of the dollar. It's just good. Get online. This thing's going to be posted online. Take a close look at this budget. It's all right there. Everything's answered. When Diana puts this together, she covers everything. You go into every tab in here, and it'll tell you exactly what that line item is spent for. You don't have to say, well, what is this state allegation? It's right there. It's spelled out for you. You don't need a degree to figure it out. I wanted to make a comment too. There's a pull-out here that talks about the real estate taxes. It kind of explains all that to you, how the millage works, what the millage is applied for. Interesting information. There's something else in here that I missed. Oh, it was under tab 1, last page. It talks about the pensions. It's been a big subject. There's a pull-out here that shows you all about the pensions. There was a new email that just went out today, saying things about finances. These pensions, if you look back, and this takes you back to 2001. In 2001, the city contributions to the pensions was $20,182. Today, in 2019, the city contribution is $522,327. You just can't compare that stuff. It's phenomenal difference. It's, everybody says, oh, what about the state contribution? No, I'm talking about the figure after the state contribution. The total contribution, 2019, is $798,838. This stuff, look at it. I mean, if you really want to understand, look at it. It's all there. It's all there. Moving on. There was actually even a comment today considering the transfers again, stating that, back in 2008, the transfers was $65,000. More lies. Right here's the sheet. I brought it with me. The transfers back then from the water fund was $233,755. The transfer from the sewer was $225,152. They just keep inventing this stuff. I was always told as a kid, you can't argue with a liar because the sky's the limit for lying. You can make up anything you want, but the facts are here. Check it out. So, a couple other highlights from the budget. A couple capital things we have in the budget. First of all, we have, of course, the loan payoff at $2.1 million. The capital purchase for the budget, we have a new cruiser, which we promised last year and could not deliver on due to the fact we did not have the funds. There is funds in here for the new cruiser. I believe it to be $38,000. I may have to raise that a little bit. I think it's going to come in at $42,000. We had a last year estimate, so I think we may have to raise that a little bit before we vote to approve. The second thing we have in here is a new excavator for water and sewer department. Every day they take out equipment, they dig holes every day, whether it's water or sewer. Every single day they dig holes. And doing that with a backhoe is hardly feasible anymore. You have so much time because you can't spin the backhoe right around and load your truck with your dirt. You have to pile, pick it back up, and do all that extra movement. The labor savings will be tremendous. The plan here is we have two backhoes. We would like to trade one in, the oldest one, which is the 2011 backhoe. We'd like to trade that in towards the track hoe. We rebuilt a trailer, Public Works rebuilt a trailer just this past year that will haul the track hoe. So we'll have to replace that trailer because it's used in parks right now, but we can buy a $2,000 trailer, a light duty one, and use this heavy one for the track hoe. We did ramps that would hold about anything. They're gigantic for this trailer. So that's in the budget. Another thing that's very important in this budget is, as everyone knows, last year funds were short. We had huge increases in MMOs, so we never replaced an officer who had retired. We are down to 9 officers. That creates a lot of overtime, a tremendous amount of overtime. The chief and I have had several conversations, and I really, in this budget, now it puts that 10th officer back on. With all the drug problems, I think we need that 10th officer.
Good.
So,
Me too.
we worked hard to figure out a way to make this work. The chief is willing to work on overtime. We're working together to make that happen.
Good. Thank the Lord.
Trying to think if I missed anything else in the capital. Not a whole lot of capital as far as equipment. We're in pretty good shape. Over the last 8 years, we have modernized almost all the equipment in the entire city. We don't really have a need for big equipment purchases.
I presume this, track excavator will allow you to dig quite a bit deeper as well.
Yes. Yep. And it's a lot more versatile, where we have had to hire like ditch cleaning because we can't, we have no way, a backhoe's just straight. This will articulate this way, so you can clean ditches. It's one of the attachments for it is that. And this, there's 70,000 allocated in here, and that will cover the track home and attachments that we need to make that purchase. I do have, and I'll hand it out to you, a list of all the equipment that we have. Let me take care of that. Here's this lists all the stuff this goes back to 2015 all the way up through 2020. Things that, you can see how old everything is, when we bought it, what was allocated. Oh, no, I did it wrong. Give that back.
Look at that.
Sorry about that.
Look at that thing, and that isn't equipment.
I have it. Trust me. Somewhere. I'm glad you caught that. You're gonna get that one anyway.
You're gonna catch it sooner or later.
Yeah, you're gonna get that one later. This goes from 2014 through 2021. And it shows each piece of equipment that we have in the city, when it was purchased new. As you can see, there's a pile of new things here that have been updated in the last several years. Questions on any of that?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah, I see it. It's fatting off on the 2018.
Yeah, we were tight last year. Very tight. We had to do it.
we did within our means, it was tight.
And as we pay off, as you don't have a debt payment, you certainly can use that money towards purchasing equipment, manpower, whatever it takes to make the city better. Another thing that I always like to mention during the budget, we have not taken out a TAN note. For people who don't know what a TAN note is, it's a tax anticipation note. And as far back as I can look in the history of the city, they took out a tax anticipation note for $1 million. The purpose of that note was to carry them through the first quarter before tax money comes in, because they didn't have enough in reserves to cover their bills and pay their payroll the first 3 months of the year. What always puzzled me is, why did we take out $1 million loan when we needed $200,000? We were paying $12,000 interest on that loan. For what? Since the day I have never taken out a tax anticipation note. We got through our first quarter the first year, which is the very hardest. Every year we have a carryover, which now it's up to probably close to $300,000 that we need to carry us that quarter. No interest, we just have that carryover amount in reserves, which is also part of the way that the state recommends you budget. You're supposed to have that in reserve.
Wayne, you wanted to say something?
Could I ask a question on, and I think you said 49% real estate taxes are being paid by 49% of the people, 51 are
They're not
exempt?
Yep.
Who makes up the exempt? Why is there 51 exempt?
Well, hospitals, city campus, school districts, churches, nonprofits, some bars, depending on if they're associated with veterans. There are other tax exempt entities. Anybody who has filed for tax exempt status and is approved,
Tax exempt?
and is approved, do not pay taxes.
Okay.
I would like to interject now, that is indeed assessed value. So if you look at your total assessed value, 51% of it
Yes.
is not taxed.
Right, right.
Okay, so it's not like 51%
there others that do pilots within the city?
At this time, no. We had agreements in the past with Pitt, but the agreement was pending on how many people they had enrolled, and they have not met that enrollment figure, so we have not got anything from them. Same with the hospital. We did, here 2 years ago, we got a donation from, it was 2 years ago. When they first came to Eagle Medical, they made a donation. We have not had a donation from them since.
One thing I forgot to mention when we were going through our general meeting tonight, was, did I not see that Walmart donated some money to us?
Yes, they ordinarily do donate a couple $1,000s to either the police or the fire, for whatever needs we have.
So, I guess what I'm going to allude to or say, I guess, is that any nonprofits out there, I know it's very difficult. It's difficult just to run anything, your own family and things like that. But if there are some available funds, okay, they can be earmarked if you want to take and say, I want to put it towards the fire department, I want to put it towards shade tree or something like that. Is that correct?
Yes, and in all honesty, you know, like the Moose Club that donates every single year to the city, to both the police and the fire. We've had donations from the P&A when they were in existence. We've had several donations from different clubs for different projects, or they just donate and say whatever the city needs.
And we had donations, I remember one time from a local car dealer.
Yeah, we do have some good organizations that are really helpful.
So,
Definitely.
it comes down to, I think it's very difficult when we're trying to make budgets, all of us, to pay for the safety issues that we try to have for everyone in this community, our fire, our police, okay, the public works, and whatever we need to do to make sure we pay our bills.
Well, you know, we have to realize as a community of 5,600 how fortunate we are to have a full-time police department and a full-time paid fire department. It's just unheard of. I would venture to say if we are not the smallest population in the state of Pennsylvania with a paid fire department, we are next to the smallest. I believe we are the smallest that has a paid fire department. So we're fortunate to have those services. And I know there's been, I sat back there in years past, I sat in the audience, I came to these meetings faithfully for years and years. And there was a big argument about going to volunteer fire department and all this uproar. That's not what the people want. So, you know, if they want the service, it's one of those things, you know, we have to figure out a way to pay for it.
Well, not only that, but the title, find volunteers. I'm very, very thankful we have our fire department, very thankful, and I'd fight for them any day.
Or
And our
for some
police,
scheme, you know, all the neighboring communities, because
Yes.
we're staff.
We're thankful
And if
for
the
them.
alarm goes off, we're there, way before their volunteers get there, because they come from home. I'm not discounting them, that's just the way
Yeah,
it is.
right. We're thankful for the volunteers.
Well, in our paperwork tonight, that they've been doing studies with our rollout, and the fire departments were just slightly over 3 minutes,
Great.
which is fantastic.
Jim?
Could you tell me what the millage is for land and for building and the percentage of reporting for that?
I don't have that off the top of my head, no.
24 for building approximately,
24.713 and 71.125.
and that's 100% of the value for the county assessment.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions on any of the budget that we covered here?
No.
The whole thing, the whole packet, the thing that, it's on the website actually.
Oh, it is.
It's on the website, on the front page of the website.
So this entire book is on the website. If you want to look it over, go through it. Come to the next work session, which is in November,
We'll be discussing it.
third Tuesday in November, and ask the questions. If you have questions, what's in this book, ask them. We'd be happy to answer any of them.
I have a question on this here 5-year major equipment replacement. What does it mean, like, across from the police department for the airport in 2020?
Well, because we are getting the new cruiser, the old cruiser, I would like to give to the airport for a courtesy car. So when out-of-towners come in, and it will be, it'll be labeled courtesy car. Pilots come in, they need a way into town to do business or whatever, they can take that car, drive it into town, take care of business, back to the airport.
It's a great idea.
That's an awesome
I
idea.
can add to that when I was on the airport authority and volunteering my time out there, there's many times that there were some people that came in, they had a limo there, and there's others that asked whether we had a courtesy car, and I said, unfortunately not, but we'd like to work towards that, so.
It's so nice, I've flown into other small airports where they have that. I mean, you're basically stuck, especially here, we don't have a taxi. If you're in a bigger city, you can call a taxi. Now, you might get an Uber, but I'm tough in Titusville to even get an Uber.
If I remember,